Welcome learners. Today I'm going to tell you some resources which you can use to prepare for UGC NTA NET English Literature without coaching. So let's start. Before you start your preparation, you must do the following. Get a PDF or printout of UGC NET English Literature syllabus and analyze it according to your own mental capacity. So you visit UGC official site and download the syllabus and analyze it according to your own understanding. Second, and more important than even the first point, is that you have to get previous year paper from 2004 onwards to the latest exam conducted. Look at the questions asked in it, get a hold of what actually the exam is testing. So you have to know what this exam is about, what it tests. You have to look at the questions asked in it. According to me, it tests your memorization and understanding capability. So as we are studying literature, so we have to remember, we have to read about numerous number of authors from British literature, Indian literature, American literature. So it tests your memory power. We have to remember so many authors and their important works and the summary of those works. We also have to remember the date of the year of publication of those books. So this PYQ paper PDF should be your Bhagavad Gita or Bible. So you have to keep this handy and analyze it time to time. So we will begin with British history of English literature because English was originated in Britain. So we have to start our preparation with British literature. So you can start with William J. Long's History of English Literature book. I also started my preparation with this book and I find this book very pleasurable to read. It is not too heavy. Its diction or I can say language, it is not heavy and it gives you the taste of like you are reading a story. So I find it very pleasurable. Next you can move to Rootly History of English Literature. This book, it is also a good book. It has so many facts when we compare it to the William J. Long's book. You can also choose another book, but I would advise you to stick to maximum 3 books on British literature. So after that, William J. Long, you can read Rootly, as this book has more data and facts which we need to sail through this exam. So as I already told you that UGC NET English literature, it asks question related to facts, and Rootly History of English Literature, it has so many facts in it. So you can do these 2 books for British History of English Literature. Next, also I want to add to this, there's one book by Prem Shankar Pandey, World Literature in Your Fist, an assortment of English literature. Why I recommend this book? This book tries to cover NET syllabus in a single book. I know it's not possible, but basically what this book does is to get information from Wikipedia. So you will ask why should we buy this book? The answer is that you will get brief information about most of the authors that are important according to the demand of the exam in this book. Second, it is easy to revise from it as you have to remember huge amounts of facts, this will come in handy. So this book specialty is that you can revise it after completing your whole syllabus, because you will have to study a lot, and if you don't revise you will forget it and they will have no impact on your exams result. So I will suggest you to buy this book also. Next, for American, Indian, African, Canadian, Australian, Latin literature, I would advise you to don't buy any separate books on each of them. You can cover important writers of above regional literature from Prem Shankar Pandey book that I talked in the previous slide, and use previous year paper to find which writers are being covered by the exam and their important works. So time and again I will tell you to analyze the previous year paper with your full attention and note the details, note the writers, note the literary text in it, and you can also read summaries from Wikipedia on these American, Indian, and African and various type of other literature, or any digital resource which I will tell you later in some slides. So next comes literary theory and criticism. Before heading to the following books, I would suggest you to read your master's material first. As you know that the eligibility to this exam is master's in English, so I will ask you to study your master's material on literary theory and criticism first, and only then you can read these two books, starting with M.A.R. Habib's Literary Criticism from Plato to the Present. It is a very comprehensive and a thick book, so you have to read it selectively as per the demand of our exam. Also, there is another book on contemporary literary and culture theory by Pramod K. Nair. He is an Indian professor, so he actually understands what type of questions are being asked in the literature exams. So you can also read this book. This book is easier to read. Also, there is another very important book on literary theory by Peter Barry, Beginning Theory. You can read these books. Next come literary terms. So when we talk about literary terms, almost all of the experts, they recommend this one book, A Glossary of Literary Terms by M.H. Abrams. It is very popular book. So I would suggest you to read it like dictionary. Whenever you find a term about which you don't know anything, you can look that term in this book. Or there is another way I will tell you, that you can read 5 pages of this book daily. Another book I will say is a Penguin's Literary Terms book. It is optional. I will not say that you should read it with the. I will not compel you to read it, but you can read if you have time. But for M.H. Abrams, this is must. Next, cultural studies. For cultural studies, one book is enough. That is Pramod K. Nair's book on cultural studies. This book is enough to cover cultural studies. No need to buy another book. Yes, you can use internet for some topics, but no need to buy another book. But before heading to cultural studies, you must study literary theory and criticism. So this cultural studies, it should come after literary theory and criticism. So you have to study in a sequence, in a very organized manner. Next, for language, basic concepts, theories and pedagogy, English and use. You can read Pushpinder Sial's Introduction to Linguistics, Language, Grammar and Syntax for Linguistics. It is not a very difficult book. It is a basic book. So you can start with this one when we are studying about linguistics. It will talk about the basic things about linguistics. Next comes for history of English language. Note the difference between history of English language and history of English literature. So although they seems to be a similar, but they are not. F.T. Wood's An Outline History of English Language, it talks about the history of how English language developed from Anglo-Saxons and what type of development happened in the language itself. So in this aspect we are focusing on language development, how language developed. But in literature we talk about the various works published and other things related to it. Next, A Course in Phonetics and Spoken English. So this is a very important book to study about phonetics and spoken English. You can choose this. Next comes Pedagogy of English by Snehlata Chaturvedi. So this book is about how to teach English. It will teach about the pedagogy and other type, the focusing on the teaching of English. And one thing I forgot, this earlier book, A Course in Phonetics and Spoken English, it is written by Sethi and Damija, so you have to remember it. Although I will provide links to these books in the description moving forward. For English in India, History, Evolution, Future, one book is enough. This is a very interesting book. N. Krishnaswamy's The Story of English in India. I will strongly recommend this book. This book is very interesting and you will learn a lot about how English study happened in India after British and before the arrival of British. You will understand how English studies happened in India through this book. So you will read this book. Next come Research Methods and Materials in English. So as you all know that lecturer or assistant professor job is not just about teaching, but it is also about research. So this book, MP Sinha's Research Methods in English book, is very good for beginners. You can read this book and it is not a heavy book. Also, you must learn about MLA handbook rules. For those who don't know about MLA, it is about making citation and to the two resources which we use. It is majorly used in research, when we are publishing work, when we are writing papers, thesis, dissertation. So there are proper rules to write dissertation, thesis. So you please read MLA handbook. And now the most important part of this video. As you all know that not all questions come from books. Nowadays questions come from we don't even know where some questions come from, so we have to use heavily digital resources. For example, if we are talking about individual work of any writers, for example Samuel Johnson's Vanity of Human Wishes, you can use any of the following digital resource to read summary or to read detailed summary, not just summary. There are some various excellent resources which you can use in your preparation. EPG Pathshala. Not many people know about it, but this project is actually run by government ministry of a ministry, I don't know, Ministry of Education maybe. It is run by, so the content on this platform EPG Pathshala, it is top notch, and it has been created by professors, very erudite professors. So you read this book. I will provide links to this website. Also, you all know about different websites like Wikipedia, Spark Notes, Lit Charts, GradeSaver. They will come in handy, and you will find excellent summaries of classics, of very important books. Also, if you want to read original texts of literary works, so you can refer to Poetry Foundation for poetry, Gutenberg for novels, drama, classical novels, drama. And you can also join Telegram groups. Some Telegram groups are helpful in preparing for UGC NET. You can refer to them. So this image I have posted it here to show that this website EPG Pathshala, you can use this website to study about the following works: English literature up to 1590, English literature 1592 to 1798, and there are many numbers of aspects which we have to study in UGC NET. Thank you. I hope you have learned something from this presentation. Thank you.